Welcome to the podcast.
What's up, y'all?
We're calling it the podcast at the moment, because if you watched episode 1, we didn't reveal the name because we want you guys to come up with a better one. We're just not, we're not feeling necessarily good about the name we picked. So if you guys come up with something better, make it freaking happen. Okay?
Absolutely. We need your help. Man, this is going to be a fun one.
It is indeed. It's a topic we are both familiar with. Both of us obviously have been in it. We have followed it. Now this year now that we've been out of it, and that is the RMAC men's basketball. Bush, talk a little bit about that for us.
The Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Honestly, in my opinion, it's still one of the premier leagues in D2 basketball. Like, maybe we haven't produced a lot of national champions out of it, but man, the competition from 1 to 16, dude. Anyone can get beat on any given night in this conference, which is the best part.
This year, the top of the conference is as good as anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
But I would say on a year in, year out basis, I don't know. I always equate the RMAC in Division 2 to like a Mountain West or like a Missouri Valley, in Division 1, where it's like not a bad conference, but it's definitely not like a, because you got teams like MIAA, NSIC, the league down there in Texas, the
Lone Star.
The Lone Star. You got some of those leagues that year in, year out, they got top 10, top 15 teams. And like I said, the RMAC this year has 4 of them. But
it's finally not just Colorado School of Mines running the table.
That's right. And we'll get into more of that here later.
Yep. But no, I think the RMAC's a good. It's just competitive all the way through, man. Like,
yeah, it is. And to your point, you can, we'll talk about the game. Before we started recording, we were talking about a big game that one of these teams in the running for these last couple spots in the tournament took it down, had a tough loss these past couple days. So we'll talk about that. So to your point, anybody can lose at any time, So
absolutely.
That is very, very true about the RMAC. Kicking us off here, we gotta, we'll start with the top of the league. We mentioned last episode, the first episode, that they got one more week of regular season. Games start tomorrow for this last week of regular season games, and then tournament time starts. We have, kind of heading into this last week, we have really top 5 that are set in stone. There might be some shift in a spot or 2 up there in the top of the league, but those top 5 are pretty much set. Bush, talk about those a little bit here.
Top 5. I mean, truthfully, like just looking at the standings, like there's 6 teams locked. Like realistically, West Min at 6 is locked, but the top
forgot
5
to mention
is
them as well.
It's the top 5 that's like kind of separated because West Min's only 11-9 in conference, but the next it's shattering at 5th at 14-6, and even then, like, dude, props to them. That program has honestly gone from being kind of floating the bottom of the league to now they're tough to play, dude. I mean, last year with them with Jefferson, that's a hard scout all in all. Like, there's matchup nightmares all the way through it. But then you have 4th was Colorado Mines. Tied for 2nd are BH and Mesa, and then 1st is Fort Lewis. Realistically, you look at that there's a chance that there could be a 4-way tie for 1st at the end of the week.
Yeah. If Fort Lewis drops 1,
2, they got 2. If they drop 2 or something, 2.
Right, but if they drop 1 and Black Hill State wins, but we'll get into some of those tiebreakers and stuff, and I don't have all of them.
No.
I don't have all the tiebreakers down, but I do know some of the tiebreakers that some teams will have over the others. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. We'll start at the top here. Fort Lewis, their remaining games. Metro, what day do they play Metro? Do you know? Is it Friday?
Yeah. They play Metro on
I believe it's
Friday.
Metro on Friday, and then they have Colorado Mines on Saturday. What do you got for those two games? Kind of what's your outlook?
See, I was looking back at this one. They went to Metro last time and only won by 1. That's a tough game. Like Metro's always tough. I don't care who you are. Metro's gonna be a tough team. But I think that Fort Lewis at home is so hard to beat. They're so good in their own gym. I think they'll get that one. I do. But that Mines game is the one I'm circling. I know it's not your traditional Colorado Mines team this year with a dominant big down low, but they could still they're still Colorado Mines. They play good basketball. They could go down there and they're playing for seeding as well. They want to get their seeding up more too. So that's going to be a good game. It's going to be good matchups all the way through for the guards. That's an old man game right there. There's a lot of old heads in that game.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, Colorado Mines. Well, and Fort Lewis has some experience on both sides on that in that game. I think, like you said, Metro, they always give tough games. One thing, they have struggled a little bit on the road this year. They've taken a couple pretty bad L's on the road. Whether that happens Friday, we'll see. But they do typically give tough games. But like you said about that Colorado Mines game, that one's a toss-up. So my pick, for Fort Lewis, I think they go 2-0 on the weekend. They just, they're coming off of a week and a half where they beat Black Hills, who was at the top of the league all year long.
Twice.
They beat them twice in the past week and a half. So they're playing well right now. Like you said, they're at home. I like Fort Lewis going 2-0, wrapping up and taking the RMAC Conference regular season title.
Exactly. I mean, not to jump in, I was at that Fort Lewis BH game on Friday, and I mean, there was a point with 8 minutes left. BH was up by 11, and I'm thinking like, all right, that's where they want to be. They're going to be comfortable. It's going to be a steady lead. Fort Lewis might break, but that never happened, dude. They hit a couple shots, and that 11-point lead got down to 5, like that, and it was like, oh dang, this is going to be a game, because I told my dad on the way there, I was like, that game is going to come down to who wins the last 2 minutes.
Yep.
And Fort Lewis definitely won the last 2 minutes of that game, and it was they impressed me.
And I think that's where like you said, their experience comes in. They've been there before. They have big pieces on their team, which we'll talk about. At least one of them here a little bit later. But they have big pieces on their team that have been around there for a long time, so that helps in closing out those big games for sure.
And I think you can agree with this too. Like, P-Track just finds talent. Like, he has talent on his teams all the time. He had Riley Ferris for the last 5 years. That dude was an All-American. Like, the guy has a knack for finding talent for his teams.
Absolutely. He does seem to have, a player every year that really is at the top of the league in a lot of categories. So that's a very good point. And a lot of times, when you got the best player on the floor, you got a good chance. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So those are going to be two good ones there for Fort Lewis. Maybe they'll wrap it up. We'll see here. Black Hills on the road this weekend. The tough road trip, the CCU, Colorado Christian, and Chadron State road trip.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with that, it is a middle of the week one.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday.
So what days do they play?
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so it is overnight.
And they're going to Colorado first.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Spearfish is all the way up in South Dakota. Colorado Christian's down here in Denver, Colorado. So they got to drive 5-6 hours down to Colorado and then drive another 3 or 4 hours back up to Chadron to play the next day. So that's a tough road trip.
Yeah,
talk about those matchups. Yeah, man.
I
We
think
know about that.
yeah, absolutely. Them are not fun, bro. Leave being on the bus at 3 in the morning, like, oh, I want to get into bed. That's a different
Oh
mentality.
man, we're getting home when the sun's coming up, man.
If
That's
if
some of
you've
those
never
road
if
trips at
you've
Black Hills.
never if you've never been on an athletic bus and left at night and watched the sun come up, you haven't lived.
Yep. Got to
Um,
experience it at least once.
Honestly though, I think they handle business on Wednesday. Colorado Christian, dude. When I watched them play Colorado Christian at home, it was those two teams aren't even in the same league.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't. They were up by 50 at one point in that game, or 40 at one point in that game. It's just nuts. I mean, B if you I was looking at the stats, BH is second in defense at 66.8 points per game, and third in offense at 81. Like they're gonna. I think this past weekend that Friday game kind of woke them up a little bit. Like, okay, we have to go now. Like we can't just walk out on the court and it's gonna come to us. It's gonna be easy. Like
Hmm.
I think they get CCU. The one game that could be a little bit of a trap game is that Shattern game because Shattern's playing well. They went and lost by 4 to Mines this past weekend. They're playing well, but I think BH goes 2-0 because they need those two wins to stay alive at still having a shot at hosting.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on the Colorado Christian one. I think they're going to handle business there, just because of, like you said, what's at stake for them this weekend. I think the
Hmm.
Shattern State one, I'm going to take Shattern State in that one.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
Just because it's a long road trip. I think Shattern State's playing well right now. And I think they match up well against Black Hills, just
Absolutely.
with their length, with their athleticism. They're able to take Black Hills out of a lot of what they do. Um, but I will say this, Black Hills has shown that against those good teams, they're able to make adjustments and kind of keep their heads above water and when things
Hmm.
aren't going well. So,
Yep.
but I am going to take Shattern at home on that Thursday.
I
So I'm going to
can't
say
argue
Black
that.
Hills goes 1-1.
I
So
can't
you got
argue
Black
that.
Hills going 0-2. You got Fort Lewis going 0-2, huh?
No, I got Fort Lewis winning
Or
both, and I got BH winning
excuse me,
both.
my bad. I'm sorry. 2-0. 2-0.
Yes. Yes. No, that Shattern game though, I agree with you. That one was a toss up for me because that arena is loud.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's 100 people in there, that place is loud, and that's going to be a hyped up game because it is kind of a rivalry. It is a rivalry game, and so there's going to in middle of the week there's going to be students in that student section, and
Mm-hmm.
those dudes get rowdy. I mean, you've witnessed it firsthand over there. They can get a little rowdy. They're right on the court too, so that's a
Yep.
tough game. I'm going to stand by BH because I think Coach Thompson is going to have the boys ready to go. I
Gonna have
think
them
he's gonna
ready.
Yeah, I think that he's gonna have them ready to go.
Coach
And then you
Thompson always does.
always and when you were speaking on them always having adjustments, man. Like that dude is one of the smartest basketball minds I've ever been around.
Yeah.
I mean, his control for the game on the sideline, like just me watching as a coach, like him on the sideline, he's fun to watch because his demeanor hardly changes. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected, and he's out there like he's kind of running the show from the sideline as an offensive and
Mm-hmm.
defensive coordinator, and it's just I think he'll have them doing the right things. It's just a matter of if they can execute, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think he does a great job of communicating what he wants to his team and then his
Yes,
team executing what they need. Like they
yes,
seem to get, if they call a set, they seem to get the look that they want. Like you said, maybe it doesn't go in, maybe they miss the shot, but they get the look that they're looking for. So,
absolutely.
um, I think Black Hills is going to give Shattern everything they got, and obviously Shattern's going to do the same. That's going to
It's
be
gonna
one to
be a good
watch for
one.
sure.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yep.
Mesa though, they're tied for second. Big weekend for them too, because like if they sweep, that's huge. They could possibly jump BH and take that second seed. But
Hmm.
they have Westman at home on Wednesday, and then they go to Gunnison to play
Yeah, kind of an
Western on
interesting
Thursday.
weekend.
which it is an interesting weekend how they split that up. Which to me it
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of smart. It lessens travel up a little bit, but
Absolutely. We'll
that's gonna be
have to see how Coach DeGeorge managed that one,
yeah. I
in the
think
scheduling.
so, yeah. And that's another good coach in this league, man. Coach DeGeorge,
Yeah,
like he came in an instant success. Like
instant.
you can't knock that at
I
all.
think the commentators, I was watching the game they played CSU Pueblo this weekend. I watched the game, and the commentators were saying they won 4 games or something like that, 5 games the year before he got there. And then the first year he was there, they won 19 games.
Hmm.
So he
He
has indeed done an outstanding job there at Mesa.
he can recruit. He's when you talk about recruiting with the best of them, that guy can recruit as well.
Yep,
He's gotten some good Colorado talent, some good out of state talent. Like he can get guys.
yep,
It's a D1 facility. I mean,
yeah,
he uses that to his advantage. So,
yep.
but
Yeah,
then what do you got for him though?
yeah, like you said, at home versus Westminster, I think that's big. Westminster, for some reason, their home gym is like a black hole. Teams struggle there for some reason, but Mesa gets them in their gym this weekend, so I think they get that one. They
Hmm.
looked good this weekend against CSU Pueblo. And then Western, I know they just got a nice win, but at Western, I think they handle business at Western as
Yeah.
well.
No, that's kind of that's where I lean to. I mean, West Min's a hard play sometimes because of that triangle offense that they run, and it's so unique. You don't see it at the college level.
Hmm.
And that's something that's Norm's bread and butter is the triangle offense, and they run it to a T. But I think Mesa's on a mission right now.
Mm.
Last year made it all the way to the Elite Eight, lost the year before the COVID year, the number 1 overall seed. I think this team is trying to prove something this year. And I think they win out. They beat West Min pretty handily. I think the Gunnison game's going to come down, though. I think that's going to be a close one just because
Mm.
it's Western's senior night that night, last game, and that's kind of a hyped up game because all the football kids come to that game, all the volleyball players, all the athletes, the students. They're gonna do some type of like theme for it. We always do some theme for that game, and it's just the energy in that gym's gonna be pretty big, and it's always close in that when they come up to Gunnison.
Mm.
For some reason, just because like the court's right there, the energy's different. But I think they go 2-0. I do. I think they'll pull it out towards the end of that game. It's just a matter of their size and talent overall is just going to be a big separation. Just
Yep.
that's they're a good team. They got players all around Blaze that can shoot, create, do all that stuff.
Yeah, they're another team that um, seems to execute when it matters most, and kind of talking about some of their recent and postseason success that you mentioned. They always seem to be playing their best in late February and
Yep.
March, So
Yep.
Mesa's always a team out of the RMAC in these recent years to be looking for to make a little bit of a run. So you got them going 2-0. I got them going
Yeah.
2-0.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
I'm gonna put this down. I gotta put my notes down. Um, I got Mesa going 2-0, BH going 1-1, Fort Lewis going 2-0. All right, let's go to mines.
They got Fort Lewis and Adams. Friday night's gonna do. They're gonna win. They're gonna beat Adams.
Yeah.
Adams doesn't like. I mean,
On the road. They're on the road this weekend.
yeah, but I just don't. Adams is not there yet. They
Mm-hmm.
got some talent on their team. I watched them play Saturday. They do have some guys on their team that can play, but not there yet as a team. I think Mines handles them pretty easily. But that Saturday game, I think they're gonna just run out of gas, man. They don't have a big man that can compete with Boat Brendan LaRose, Boatwright, they're
Mm-hmm.
big. And like I was saying earlier, this just isn't your traditional Colorado School of Mines team. It feels super guard heavy this year. And normally when Mines is good, they always have a top of the league big guy,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, Kai Barr's good, but I don't think he's, there at that point yet. He's a good energy guy, but not to the not to the level of what it's been in the past.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with them being um dominant when they have a dominant big man, and I think they've had to find ways to manufacture some baskets because they do
Hmm.
play that kind of um a lot of times they like to have two bigs on the block and running
Yes.
shooters off pin screens, and if they don't have shots entering into the post.
Guard big
um
screens, stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly, so stuff like that. So they've had a little bit different style this year in the games I've watched. um but they do still have a couple of bigs. Kai Bar, you mentioned one, and then Krasovic.
Yeah, he's
um
good. I just don't. He's not your typical back to the basket. He's a good shooter. Like he'll step out and shoot it, but like I'm thinking of like Michael Glenn and the guys before him that were just like you give the
yeah,
ball to them down
absolutely.
low and it's a bucket almost every time.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm just pulling up some numbers here. Thistlewood's leading them. Yeah, you're right. They're big leading them in scoring is Kai Bar at 9 a game. So you're literally right on with the point of not having a big that you can really rely on to give them the ball and make
Hmm.
something happen. So that'll be interesting, especially like you said against Fort Lewis, who is very big down low, especially and their two guys that they start at that front court spot. So
Yeah, I mean you can't count them out. It's Colorado Mines. Pryor is an amazing coach, like all-time winningest coach in Colorado history, I think. Like
mhm.
he's a great coach. I looked back
Yep.
on his resume a couple weeks ago and like what he did to turn that place around was like holy cow. He's made it into just like a nationally recognized school almost to this
Yep.
point.
They're a juggernaut for sure in the
Oh,
RMAC.
absolutely.
That's no
You
question.
see
So you
mines
got
on the
them going one
schedule.
and one.
Dang. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I do as well. I do as
Yep.
well. I got them going one and one, beating Adams, losing to Fort Lewis on the road. All
Yep.
right, last one at this top five cluster. Shattering State. They're on the outside looking in a little bit, kind of. They're a couple games behind Black Hills
Yeah.
and Mesa, and then I think one game behind um, Mines,
Hmm.
if
They're
I'm not
two
mistaken.
games, two games
Two
behind
games
mines.
behind Mines.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, they
they
could
so
tie for
they'll
fourth.
yeah. So for them to move up, they're going to need some help. But what do you got for their two games this weekend?
I 1-1. I think they'll beat. I think they'll beat South Dakota School of Mines. I know
Hmm.
they're playing. The School of Mines is playing well. South Dakota School of Mines is. They're playing good basketball right now, but I think Shattering's just guards overall are better. Um, I know Mines has Rama. He's really good. But
Hmm.
he's really all, in my opinion, all they have because Walter's been kind of hit or miss this year. It seems like in that
Hmm.
BH game, he needed a big game for them to hang around, and he just wasn't a factor. It was all Rama in that game in the first half, but I think Shattering goes 1-1. I think they're gonna lock in at the fifth seed. They're gonna. I don't think they beat BH. I really don't. I think Black Hills has got something to prove this weekend.
Yeah. Yep. So I got them 2-0. I got, obviously we already talked about Black
Hmm.
Hills. Um, I got them going 2-0, beating South Dakota School of Mines and winning a tough one at home against Black Hills. With that South
Yeah.
Dakota School of Mines game, I think, like you said, I think Shatter's just got a little too much firepower for them. And South Dakota School of Mines is, I don't know if they have to your
enough.
point, the playmakers to, if it is a close game and if it is coming down to the wire, for them to be able to get them over the top over Shatteron's playmakers. Shatteron's got guys like, you already talked about Jefferson, but, they also got guys like, what am I trying to say?
Isaiah Washington
Isaiah
is really good.
Washington.
He's leading the team in scoring.
Yeah.
They have 3 guys in double figures.
Or is it Washington?
Or
Isaiah
Isaiah
Washington?
Wyatt.
Isaiah
My bad.
Wyatt, yeah.
Isaiah Wyatt.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got too much.
They got some firepower at that guard spot, so I think it's going to be too much.
Yeah. And then West Min, they're locked in at 6th. I think they're going to lose to Mesa. I think they beat Western. Western's going to come off that Mesa game and use a lot of energy for that one because that's a big game for them, man. When I was there, we treated that game like it was like the biggest game of the year because if you wanted to beat Mesa, that was a big rivalry game. And people in the town took that serious. School takes it serious, so I think they'll use up all their energy, Mesa, and then come West Min. Last game of the year. You know how that is when you're kind of struggling. It's just like, man, I want out. I just want to get this over with. Let's just hoop and get done real quick.
Might run out of juice.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So let's move down. We talked about that top half, those top 5 or 6 teams. There's about 6 teams in the mix for those last 2 spots.
It's crazy.
Okay, that 7 and that 8 spot. There's UCCS sitting at 8 and 12. Well, there's 5 teams sitting at 8 and 12. 1 team sitting at 7 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
UCCS, Metro, Regis, New Mexico Highlands, South Dakota School of Mines, all sitting at 8 and 12. CSU Pueblo sitting at 7 and 13. Yeah. How do you see some of that shaking out?
I think, I just want to point this one. I really think Regis shot themselves in the foot on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out my boys over at Western for getting that upset and making this thing a hell of a lot more interesting. And that was a much needed win for those boys to get the confidence rolling. But dude, they have to go to Highlands and Pueblo. Both teams are battling for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they get it done. I think they drop both. I do, because I think...
You think Regis drops both?
Yes. Just because, like I said, you look at it, they could have been 9 and 11 and solely in 7th place in control of their own destiny. But you drop that game to Western, that shakes it up big time. It's a tough road trip. New Mexico Highlands all the way down in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and then I wanted to say Nevada for some reason. But
you almost did, I saw it.
And then you go to Pueblo, that's a tough road trip. You've done it before. We've done it before. That's a tough one. I don't think they get it done. I think they're going to be one of the teams that are out on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm going to say 0-2 for Regis as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, on the road, New Mexico Highlands, I think they're going to have the best player on the floor in Dante Moses. And, their gym's kind of similar. They always seem to play a little bit better there.
It's rowdy in that gym too.
Yeah, it gets interesting in that gym sometimes. So I think they're going to drop that one. And then, CSU Pueblo having senior night. And I think, CSU Pueblo, they should have beat Regis the first time. I don't know if you watched that game. Had I believe a 2-point lead with a few seconds left and ended up fouling at the buzzer and sending it to overtime and losing. So, but I think CSU Pueblo gets it done at home on senior night. I think they got a little too much down low for Regis. It's just a matter if they can hit some shots.
Yeah. So if Romero can get going offensively this weekend, I think I like them. But since we're already talking about them, I think they go 1-1. I think they beat Regis, but I think they drop to UCCS.
Yep, I agree with you on that too. We're on the same page.
I think UCCS is just they're gonna be it's someone told me don't fall into their like lackadaisically kind of style of play, but it's so easy to
Hmm.
fall into that because they're so good at it. Like they are good at how they play. And
Have you?
what
I'm gonna be real with you. I haven't watched much UCCS this year.
I
Have you
gotta
watched them play?
I watched them. I watched the both BH games. I mean, BH handled them the second time. The first time though,
Yeah.
it took it was a second half game. Like that game was fairly close through the whole way. I mean, UCCS, they had a guy on their team. Oh, what was it? I gotta look up their roster, but
Yeah,
they
I'm
had a
looking it up
dude
as well.
that was
John L. Well, they
going.
got John
John
L.
L's good.
Fugit.
He came from West Texas. He's played in a national championship game. Like
Yeah,
he knows what
he's a
this is.
Colorado kid.
It's Benny Fungoli. If he gets
Oh,
going downhill and in the paint, unguardable, unguardable. He
yeah,
had he had like 30 points in the paint against South Dakota School of Mines earlier this year. All
yeah,
drives. It's like
yep.
I think they're gonna be. I think they're just good athletically. I haven't had a chance to watch a whole lot of CSUP, but I just don't. Pueblo has doesn't match up well against that to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think with CSU Pueblo, it comes down to whether they're making shots or not, because they're actually rated fairly high defensively in the league this year. I
Yeah,
think it
third.
comes down to whether, yeah, they're third in the league defensively this year. So um, I think it comes down to if they can put that ball in the hole, and I think, like you said, UCCS has a nice mix of some older guys and some younger guys. I think they're going to come down to old Pueblo and get it done.
Yeah, I think if Leon can have a game, have two good games this weekend, he'll give him a chance because
Hmm.
he's super explosive offensively, and like the other dude that, in my opinion, is a big factor for CSUP is Meekness.
Magnus Payne, yep,
Yes, if
yep.
he's someone that I've always like been like, man, you have to control him because
Hmm.
if you let him go be free and like let him score, they are a problem. But
Yeah, he can shoot that thing. He can score it a little bit. The other X factor for, well, two X factors for CSU Pueblo in my mind are Isaiah Thompson.
yeah,
He's a kid. He's leading the league right now in rebounding, um, and also working his way up in points. I think he's about 11 a game now. Um, and then one of the bigs, whether it's Deshaun Cooper or
yeah,
Elijah Moleon,
yeah.
um,
Elijah is
those guys
yeah,
have to be a presence,
yes,
because after that they don't necessarily have a traditional big. It's a little bit more small ball, kind of
yeah.
playing two fours on the floor if they don't have one of those guys on the floor. So though one of their fives needs to be a presence in the paint in
Hmm.
both of those games if they're gonna pull both of those out.
And like looking at them, they're only playing six guys right now, so it's just a matter of if those six guys can get going. Like you said,
Hmm.
to me another X factor is Elijah Moleon.
Yeah,
He's huge. He always killed us when we went and played you guys, dude.
he big body bends,
He was
man.
a
He's a big body bends.
yes, always was a factor. He loves to get down there and be active in the post, and if he can do that for a full game, man, oh,
Yep,
I like their chances, but I'm still sticking with them dropping that UCCS game. Um,
yep.
we talked. I want to jump to Highlands though because I think they're the team that goes 2-0 this weekend, and I think that's the only team that goes 2-0 this weekend at home
Mm.
against Regis and UCCS. I think they're the only. New Mexico Highlands always has players that can go, and they always are greedy around this time of year. Like they're always
Yeah,
prone to make a run, you know.
that's a good point, Bush. That's a good point.
And Dante, I mean, they only have one guy averaging double figures in points with Moses, but they're still like you can't take it easy on them because they
But
have
you know
guys
how
that
they
can go.
are.
Yeah,
You know how they are. They have players that can score that thing. It's just like it's all a matter of if you can get New Mexico Highlands in the half court. Like,
Yes.
if you let them get out and run all game long and you're turning the ball over, you're taking bad shots, and you're letting them get easy ones on the other end, it's going to be a long day because they're
Absolutely.
fine outscoring you. Like, they're
Yeah.
just fine outscoring you. They're fine playing that way. So you got them going 2-0.
I do.
You got
I
them
do.
going 2-0.
Yep.
I'm going to agree with you on that. We're on the same page right now with these final few spots here.
Hey, man, good minds think alike.
That's right. That's right. That's why we're doing this. You know what I mean? But I think, like you said, just is New Mexico Highlands always finds a way to at least be playing competitive basketball here at the end of the year. I think it was Coach Dominguez's first year. They were like the 7 seed or whatever and came out and, made a run.
Won it.
Oh, yeah, they ended up winning.
They won it.
Right.
They beat BH that year.
That's right. So they always find a way, seems like, here in February and March.
And Dominguez is a good coach, man. Like he can, when it comes down to like the prime crunch of the year, like that man always has his guys playing well. Metro, obviously, we talked about their game against Fort Lewis. I think they beat Adams. I don't think they beat Fort Lewis, though. I think, like we were saying earlier, Fort Lewis has got a championship on their mind. And at home, they have a chance to win the regular season at home. I think they get it done. Senior weekend, all that stuff, they're going to want to go out the right way. So they'll go 1-1, obviously beat Adams, but I don't see – it's going to be – I think the New Mexico Highlands is going to get in, and then it's going to be a 3-way tie between South Dakota School of Mines, Metro, and UCCS, and it's going to come down to a tiebreak on that last spot, in my opinion, because UCCS will go 1-1.
Yep. So I think we're all on the same page with these final few spots, final couple spots, I guess I should say. So who did you say you got? New Mexico Highlands sliding into that 7 spot.
Yep. And then
the 8 spot still up for grabs.
Yeah, that's going to be a tiebreak, and I don't know. I don't know how the tiebreak is for the RMAC now. I know how it was the last 2 years with the COVID rule and all that stuff with like the RPI. I don't know what they're doing this year. I couldn't find anything on their site, so we'll see. That's going to be.
We'll wait to see how it shakes out. We'll wait to see how it shakes out. Sometimes these last weekends, it's you're almost getting to the day you're supposed to leave and you still don't know if you made the tournament or not. So
for real, like these guys, some of these guys won't know if they made the tournament until like they could win that last game and be all excited, like, oh hell yeah, and then get into the locker room, look at their phones, and see, damn, we did not need them to win.
A team lost or a team won that shouldn't have, so.
That's how it was my first year at Western. We won 6 games to end the year, and we had a chance. Like, we needed to win the last game, and we needed Dixie State to lose out or win out. And they lost both games that weekend. And I just remember we were beating Mesa on senior night, and my parents came down for that game, and I looked over to my dad just randomly, and he looks up to me and just starts shaking his head like,
oh, man.
And I just knew I was like still like 4 minutes left, and I was like, damn, we're not going to make it. All right, whatever, let's win this game. But like that one kind of sucked because like I was saying, we won 6 in a row, and then the next day we wake up and we're not playing anymore. And it's like, that hurt. That one really hurt. We were right there to get a chance, and then it got taken away from us.
That's March Madness for you, baby, right there.
It's crazy. That's another point, though, too. I wish the RMAC would take all teams. I wish or not all teams, but like more teams. Make it a little, I did a thing.
With it being a 15-team conference,
it's hard.
You got to make it, 12 or
10 or 12,
10 or something like that. Yeah, just so it does add a little bit more madness to it, I guess, if you want to say.
Yeah, crazy side fact on that, because you know how all D1 teams, all teams have a chance to win their conference tournament, right? Like every single
Mm-hmm.
team has a chance to win their conference tournament. I looked at the the Division II nationwide. It's like it's either 50 to 75% to in every conference of teams that make the tournament have a chance to win. There's no one conference in D2 that is 100% every team makes your conference tournament, which is wild to me.
Yeah. And I understand if, because at the D2 level, there's maybe you can't, put up 14 teams in a hotel, for your conference championship. So there might be some of those things, but
it's
I think you can add, but I think you can add 2 or 3 teams, and still be able to make it worth it, but also be able to have that element of, maybe a team that barely slides in there. Like you remember, UConn that made that run to the tournament or run to the national title when they were like a 9 seed or something like that. Yeah, and Kemba, so it allows more opportunity for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And it and then the only reason I knew that is because we knew at that point when we were making our run my first year, we knew that no one wanted to see us. We were the hottest team in the conference, and everyone was saying that, like, damn, if Western gets in, like, they could honestly make a run to win the thing. That's how well we were playing and how well everyone was like, damn, they are playing very well. But
indeed, that's when it matters. You got to be playing well right now.
Yep, March is so much fun.
Indeed, and we're gonna talk about that in another episode as well. Kind of as some of the Division I and more March Madness gets rolling.
Yeah.
But let's get into our last topic here. So we talked about the conference, talked about who we got for winning it, who we have kind of sliding into those last couple spots. As this year wraps up, we followed it. Who do you have as player of the year? Who are a couple guys that are on your list, and then who's your player of the year pick?
I only put 3 guys on my list. The third guy's kind of far out. I just put him on there because he's good enough to be recognized in my opinion, and his improvement over the last 3 years is crazy. But I got my 3 are Joel Scott, a Cool Cot, and Blaze 3. But a Cool Cot's. We were talking about this the other day. That dude's a pro. He plays like a professional basketball player, a high-level professional basketball player. But he's averaging 24, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist, shooting 50% from the field. But I give it to Joel Scott, man. He's 22 and a half, 9 rebounds, 61% from the field, 38% from 3. Like, give the ball to Joel, get the hell out of the way late game, and let that man go get a bucket. Like, that's how good he is.
Yep. And that's the way it's been, since he's really been in the league, that's the way it's been. So
exactly, his freshman year, I remember I was just like, damn, this kid, holy, like really, like it kind of blew me away at first, and then you start watching him play, and you're like, all right, I see, he's just got the perfect build, like the whole body for this level of play, which helps him dominate. He's so strong. Like I watched him and Boatwright banging bodies down low, and he holds his ground with the best of them, which is just impressive.
That's a grown man right there. That's a grown man.
I mean,
so Joel Scott.
Yeah, in my opinion, if Blaze, realistically though, if Blaze was averaging 4 more points per game, I would really consider him being player of the year.
Yep, and so just going into my list, 3 of those are the exact same. I added 1 more to mine to make 4, but Joel Scott, a Cool Cot from Fort Lewis, Blaze Street from Mesa, and then I added Dante Moses in there as well from New Mexico Highlands, his team. I guess the one thing about Dante Moses is his team isn't, having quite the success that these other 3 teams are. So that's one tough thing kind of against him, or one knock, I guess, if you want to call it that. But you talk through some of the stats. I'll talk through some of them before give him my pick as well. A cool cut. To me, it came down to two guys, and to me, the two best teams in the conference,
Yeah.
Black Hill State and Fort Lewis, which narrows it down to Joel Scott and a cool cot. Joel Scott, 22.5 points a game, right at 9 rebounds a game, just under 61% from the field, and 38 from three, 70, just under 75 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
A cool cot, 24.5 a game, 3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 50% from the field, 38%, just under 39 from three, 85% from the free throw line. Both, like you said, I'll just talk about a cool Kai here for a second. You mentioned it already. He's a pro, and to me, the biggest thing is he scores it at a pro level.
Yes.
The younglings like to say, he's in his bag. That dude has a legit bag. You know what I mean? Like, there aren't a lot of guys that you see at the D2 level that have a real bag like that where they can go to it whenever they want and get the shot that they're looking for whenever they want. And so that's something that he does that you can't teach, and
He's
it takes
so
a lot of
smooth.
hours in the gym. A lot of hours in the gym, I'm sure that he's spent developing that. But I'm with you, man. We've been agreeing this whole second half of this podcast. Joel Scott, it's tough to go against those numbers and just the performance him and his team have had over this year. Damn near a double-double a game. And I know they're not at the top of the conference, but in my opinion, they're the best team in the conference. I think they're just the deepest. Yeah. They're the most well-rounded team from top to bottom. But Joel Scott, man, he's been getting it done for 4 or 5 years now, and to be honest with you, we talked about a cool cot being a pro. He's going to be a pro too, Joel.
Yeah.
If he wants to be, I'm sure he'll have his. Go ahead.
He has the chance to come back next year. All the majority of that team has a chance to come back next year.
That is stupid, man.
COVID year.
That team, if that whole team comes back, it's gonna be dumb. It's gonna be dumb for the RMAC next year. It's gonna be tough.
And I think, like, the thing with Joel is like the game where I really was like blown away was last year when we went up there to play Spearfish. Obviously, like, Matt had 53 and Joel had 50. Like, that was hands down the most impressive, like, single-handedly scoring game from two guys I've ever seen. Like, from NBA all the way down to high school, I've never seen that before. Two guys have 50 outside of an all-star game. Like, this was a competitive conference game. And what he had 12 points in the first half, and I remember going up and I was talking to coach, like, man, we are doing a perfect job on him. Let's just keep making it tough. Like, let's keep doing what we're doing. We can't let him get going. And next thing you know, I look up at the scoreboard, he's got 42, and I was like, what happened? Like, he scored like 26 straight points in a row for them, and it was the dumbest performance I've ever seen by a guy who realistically only shot 2-pointers. Like, it was ridiculous what he did.
Well, and he does it quietly,
Yes.
Like, I think we were playing up there, and it was actually when we beat him, but it's kind of similarly, we feel like we're doing a good job, and we get a stat sheet and he has 24, and he's leading the game in scoring, and it's like, man, you don't feel like he's kicking your butt, but he is,
No. And I mean, there's a reason why he's the school's all-time leading scorer now. Like, that record isn't going to be touched for a long time. It took 40 years to break Templeton's record, but it's going to be 40 plus more before that thing gets broken. Like, that's what he's doing. Even if he comes back next year, like, he's an unreal basketball player. Like, the control. I was talking to Thompson about it the other day. I was just like, man, late game, he needs the ball in his hands. Like, that man, if he has the ball in his hands, it's going to help out everyone else because he can either score or pass out of it. Like, there's just so much he can do to it. But even going back,
he demands attention.
Yes, but like you were going about Cott being a professional scorer, like, I've never seen a player that smooth with the basketball at the guard. Like we were talking, I remember we talked about Nick, like how he was a good scorer, but like it wasn't like what Cott can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like he's sitting up there playing with his defender until he understands, like, oh, I know exactly what I can do now to get by you. And the shots that he makes, like the shots he was making over Musa on Friday, I was like just applauding him, like, that's impressive, man. You're making shots with a literal hand in your face.
Well, and that's just it. It's not that he's just completely annihilating defenders and making them look silly all the time. Like it's college basketball. There's still defense being played on him, and it's good defense a lot of times. But he's developed the ability to take and make tough shots. That it's just like you have scorers, and then you have guys that have that ability to. I guess it's the saying of good offense beats good defense.
Yeah,
Like you can play as good as defense as you want, but if the ball goes in the hole, it's better offense.
yeah,
So a cool guy, he just has that. He has that ability to make good defense look like not good defense.
for real. And
Real simply put, I
you got it.
guess.
You're a special player if you're doing that,
Yep.
honestly. And shooting
Yep.
50+% from the field, like he had 21 in that game, and
Efficiency.
it did not feel like he had 21. It felt like it was a lot lower than that. Just the shots he was making, like it was a quiet 21, but it was a big 21 for him too.
Just
Um,
maximum efficiency.
Absolutely. That's why there's always players in this conference that are like the players that you're like, damn, that guy can go. He's gonna be a really good pro. There's
hmm
always someone in this league that's like that.
Yep, and we'll keep track of them when they do make it to that level.
Absolutely. No,
Um,
that's a good couple topics right there.
indeed, indeed it is. Um, as Bush has said, we want to keep listeners involved. We want to poll your guys' Player of the Year candidates here in the RMAC. If you're familiar with it, if you've been following the conference, and maybe you're a former player, former coach, maybe you're a kid wanting to play in the RMAC.
Yeah.
Um, Let us know what you think. Who's
And
your Player of the Year?
and going off that, honestly, too, like if you guys wanna hear something for us to talk about, like let us know. We'll talk
Yep.
about it. If you have a topic, like hit us up if you want to listen to it because we'll talk about it. I think it's important, like you said too, for all the younger guys like that are probably trying to get into the RMAC, all the guys that are that still follow us on Twitter and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hit us up with questions, stuff to talk about that you may be like not know what to do to get to the college level, stuff like that. Like that's all stuff we want. Fan engagement, listener
Mm-hmm.
engagement.
And we want it to be fun to listen to, and you know obviously us be able to get our 2 cents out on the table, but also to be interactive and to be informative for kids and for just anybody listening in these areas that you might have questions about certain things that maybe we can answer, maybe we can't, but we'll give you our 2 cents, that's for sure.
Yep. And I know we gave y'all the update on this episode and the previous episode, but I think we're gonna leave you guys with a blank mind on what episode 3 is gonna be, and we'll release some little teasers after we record that one, so you guys can see, like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Okay, I'm tuned in.
hmm Keep them on the toes. That's
Yep,
what we like. That's what
yep.
we
Ten,
like.
10 toes.
10 toes. All right, Bush, you got anything else for these people before we leave?
Nah, no, I don't. I'm good. I've
All I
I've said
gotta
all I
say is
needed to say.
tune into some RMAC action this weekend. There's some good games, some big games on the docket that if you've been following the conference especially, you'll kind of know the implications of a lot of those games, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of the bigger meaning behind a lot of them, and what's at stake. If not, you'll hear it from us next time you listen.
Absolutely. But outside of that, man, that's all I got. It's
all right.
Yep.
All right, people.
Good.
Stay calm.
Stay collected.
Stay calm. Stay collected.
Yep. Peace.
All right, Bush. Till next time. We'll see you.
Yes, sir. See ya.